Here we are just playing around, trying to figure out how exactly we're going to do this. My name is Tiffany Summers. Welcome to Country Gravy. I'm thinking that right about now I'm looking like a fat kid living in his mom's basement, haven't washed my hair in about a week, and I'm playing online games. That's what this looks like, right? Except for the fact that there are children's toys behind me. All right, so country gravy. How to come up with the name. There is a person out there that I admire that's doing some community activism. He does political commentary, and in some places, he is referred to as gravy. People are mean, like we're still in third grade, making fun of each other for things that sometimes we really can't do anything about, right? So, anyway, I figured I would just beat people to the punch, right? Gravy, but country gravy. It's white. That's me. All right. So, why did I want to do this podcast? Have you ever watched some of these commercials during election time and you wonder, do people really believe this crap? Yeah, people do. But I want to ask questions about some of the content in these crazy commercials, or ask the questions that some people won't ask. Sometimes we stay away from hard stuff. I want to educate people. Sometimes we don't like to admit that we don't know things. Maybe we want to sound smarter than we really are. You ever been in a situation where you just smile and nod as somebody talks about something? Number one, because you don't know. And number two, because you probably don't want to hear them tell you about that thing because it sounds boring as hell, and who really cares? Well, I'm going to ask some of those questions because maybe I do care about some of that boring stuff, but I want to understand it, and I want you to understand it. I want my community to be well informed. I don't need you to agree with me. We don't need to share the same opinions. That's not what this is about. I just want to be informed, and I want you to be informed also. So that's why I'm doing this. When I was in graduate school, living in uptown New Orleans with my aunts, there was a woman who would come on public access TV in New Orleans, and her name was Hester. And she was a trip. And during election time, especially, she would come on and she would talk about candidates and give her opinion on those things. And she would also talk about some of the amendments and things that were on the ballots. And it was during one of these shows of hers that I became a little enraged by some of the things that she was saying. And it wasn't about me agreeing or disagreeing with her opinions on political issues, because that's not at all what she was talking about. She wasn't talking about the political issues. She was saying things like, I just vote no. I vote no on everything. Oh my God. But I came to find out that a lot of people do that. If it has anything to do with money, they just vote no, assuming that it must be a raise in your taxes and we ain't gonna vote for that. Other things that she would say, just things that would kind of drive me nuts. Just the idea that, all right, when you go, you always vote for the Democrat. And if there's two, you always vote for the woman. And if there's two and you don't know, you're not sure, you vote for the one who has a hyphenated last name because that's got to be a black lady. Look, my issue is not about voting for racial minorities or anything like that. It's just the idea that you would go to vote and have no idea who or what you're voting for. I grew up in a house where my mom would ask my dad, "Who are we voting for?" My mom wasn't that interested in politics, and it didn't bother her to be uninformed, and she trusted my dad's opinion, I guess. And so she tended to just vote like he did. That is not the case in my household. My husband and I usually cancel each other out. That's kind of the joke in our house. Well, here we go. We're going to go cancel out each other's votes. Yeah, we don't agree. Doesn't mean that we don't have a great marriage. Doesn't mean that we don't love each other and support each other. It just means that we each have our own opinion and our own mind. And we're okay with that sometimes. We do have political discussions in this house. We do have political arguments in this house. That happens. Sure does. But we can discuss things. We can educate ourselves. You know, when there are resolutions, or it's not even resolutions, that's so the wrong word, but when there are amendments and there are things like that on a ballot, we will look at some of those cheat sheets. PAR does a really good job of boiling everything down. It explains what all that jargon is in terms that even I can understand. And we'll tell you a yes vote means this, a no vote means this. And my husband and I will look at those things together. And maybe we disagree, but we help each other kind of figure it out. I also spend some time listening to other people's opinions. I think that's really important to truly understand what you're against or what you're for. Just educating yourself is really important. I'll give you an example. So, one of the recent elections on Talk 1073, Brian Haldane in the morning, he's one of my favorites. Um, he had somebody on who was running for an appellate court judge position. I might be getting that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And one of the candidates was on, and she explained in very simple terms what exactly this position did and why it's so important. And I thought, oh, yeah, great. Like I kind of knew, I know what an appellate court is, but I didn't really get why it was so crucial that I pay attention to this race. And when her opponent was on, I remember listening to his interview and thinking, he must think he has this in the bag. He has this in the bag because he was just kind of doing that old good old boy discussion, and it was not a whole lot of substance. So there you go. Now you know who I voted for. I just appreciated the way she responded to the questions, and she informed those of us who were listening. I thought that's the kind of person that I want in an elected position. And I hope that that's what I can do in this position, is to help you gain some knowledge, help you get some information. That's the whole point. So I hope you listen and learn something, anything. That's the goal. Thanks for listening to Country Gravy.